Alright guys, good morning. It is Thursday, April 18th. My resting heart rate is 45. That's pretty good. And it's 8:06 a.m. We're getting a little bit of an earlier start because we're trying to be efficient. Spend some time with Charlie after this. But we have Skechers in the house. This is the first time I'm bringing a Skechers shoe onto the channel here. And they're one of the OGs in the high technology running game. They pioneered some of the tech that we see in the market now across a lot of foams. But it's a brand that gets slept on a lot. And if you grew up in Lowell, Massachusetts, back where I grew up, you probably wouldn't want to be seen wearing Skechers. But they are a legit running brand, and they did send me a bunch of stuff. And so Thursday, April 18th, it's been about 1 year exactly. And this is something I want to share with you guys since I started Supwell, and I started it just uploading products to the website, and I committed to doing that every day until something happened, and that turned into making YouTube videos every day, and we've been doing that for about 10 months now. And now we got Skechers sending us stuff, we got some of the other brands sending us stuff, so we'll get into the shoes. But my message for you guys today is, if you want to do something, man, just do something every day, and who knows, one day you might have Skechers sending you shoes, and that's pretty cool if I do say so myself. So let's get into this one, baby. Alright, so it's going to be this box here. I just checked the other one and it wasn't that. I asked Skechers to send me a few of their top shoes because I want to sample a little bit from what every brand has on the market so that I can be the best running shoe analyst that I can be. So let's see. Is this one? Yes, it is this one. Okay, look at this, guys. Skechers. And anytime we bring a new brand onto the channel here, or a brand that's a little bit less known, I did this with Topo too, I do like to highlight some of the marketing copy because I think it helps us understand what they're all about. So Skechers has the Arch Fit. It's something that I've heard some people like, some people don't like. It's a little bump in the middle of the shoes. The Hyperburst foam, Goodyear rubber. So this is like the Adidas with the Continental. I'm really curious to see how grippy this actually is. And the Hyper Arc, this is going to be their rocker. So let's take a look. Yes, they did send us the right size. The Go Run Alpha Tempo with the carbon-infused forefoot plate. And let's see. I can already see that color through the wrapping paper. Boom! Wow, that is a bright and vibrant shoe. Bang! This is actually a really sharp looking shoe. And we got tons of rubber on the bottom. I could feel that Goodyear rubber on my thumbs right here. It looks like it's going to be pretty grippy. Yeah, tons of rubber, aggressive rocker. You got the forefoot plate here, and that is the plate. This little black piece, that is the plate. I can feel it peeking out. Let's see how girthy it is. And kind of a narrow heel, actually. But this shoe is a little bit of a hybrid racing and training shoe. It was initially named the Speed Beast, but they've released it as the Alpha Tempo. And I saw it at the running event about a year ago, and I didn't get a chance to, or not a year ago, but last year, and I didn't get a chance to talk to anybody about it. But then they're sending it to me now, and they do have Alpha Tempo on the tongue here. So it's got that supercritical Hyperburst foam, forefoot plate, really tall stack, and it feels decently lightweight, even with this little insert here. So let me pop this out. Wow, that is really stuck. This is really stuck. I cannot even get this little shoe insert out. We're gonna have to unlace this entire system here. As I was telling you guys earlier, as I'm trying to get this little thing out, so Skechers is one of the brands, or the brand, that brought supercritical running foams into the mainstream. So this Hyperburst Pro here, it is a supercritical foam, and that means it's been injected with gas during the manufacturing process, and it's popular to see that style foam across the running industry now. Brooks does it, Adidas does it. Nearly every brand has some sort of supercritical foam in their lineup, if not in their racing foam. But Skechers was one of the initial ones to do it, and they actually have a patent on their method of doing it. So that's why you don't see every brand use the same type of gas. Brooks uses nitrogen. There's different methods of doing it. And I really can't get this thing out, so hold on. Wow, I really had to fight with that off camera, but I think, yes, I think we got it. There we go. And then they have two more. Wow, they really want you to know all the tech that's in this shoe. So they have the Arch Fit little thing on the front, which I think we can just rip this guy off. Yeah, okay. Okay, one down, two down here, boom. Okay, let's read this actually. So Hyperburst Pro, this is the foam, is made with a new supercritical foaming process using TPU for a softer midsole with higher resiliency while maintaining its lightweight properties. So TPU, we know that from the Adidas Ultra Boost shoes. That's the Boost foam. It's also the Saucony Power Run Plus foam, which we see in the Ride 17 and the Triumph 20 and 21. And then this is a bunch of stuff about foot shape. That's the arch fit, which I know some people don't like that. So you can see a little graphic of it right here. And people have told me, watch out for that whenever you try the Skechers shoes. It may or may not work for you. And I know that's a reason why, well, other than them being Skechers and their brand having a certain connotation if you grew up in Lowell, Massachusetts. But that's another reason why this shoe doesn't work for some people, that little bump there. And then we do get the little Goodyear rubber tag. So that's cool. So while we have the shoe here, I want to talk you through the marketing copy again, because I think it's going to be super helpful to understand where they're trying to position the shoe. So striking the balance between high performance cushioning and speed for race day. So it sounds like they're putting it in the same category as Boston 12, SC Trainer V2, Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. The Go Run Alpha Tempo offers a competitive edge for setting new PRs. Designed with running economy in mind, this racing shoe, they're calling it a racing shoe, offers an ultra lightweight experience, delivering quick turnover and the HyperArc technology, promoting efficiency in each stride. So basically all they're saying here is we have an aggressive rocker platform on the shoe, similar to the Saucony Endorphin Speed Roll rocker, and every brand has named their rocker at this point. Some of them call it Glide Roll, Glide Through. You don't need the name for the rocker, but a lot of the brands have the rockers, which is this curved platform, and Skechers does as well. And you can see as I put it down here, that is a strong rocker, and it looks like its natural resting point is actually close up here to the forefoot. And you do get a really nice curve on the back here with this rocker, which is something that I've found is nice as a heel striker. If you get a little bit more curve back here, it does roll you through the platform a little bit more. And then they're saying they use the Hyperburst Pro in there, which is an update to their Hyperburst technology. I never ran in any of the Hyperburst foam shoes. And then they say that the insole has a TPEE material. So let's see, removable insole in here. I'm guessing it is. Yes, removable insole with a TPEE. It is sticky and it is soft, and that is, I think that's where the arch fit little thing is coming from, that bump. And then they give us the stack height as well. So this is 40 millimeters in the heel and 36 millimeters in the forefoot, 44 millimeter drop. That is really similar to that New Balance SC Elite V4. So now we have all what Skechers is saying about this shoe. Let us do a little bit of a breakdown. So first things first, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but this colorway is popping off. You have the neon green and the neon orange, and it's some sort of a demented zebra pattern where it's like they sent shockwaves through the zebra skin. It's a really cool looking upper here, and the material of the upper is some sort of an engineered mesh. And you don't have a one-piece upper. You have the tongue without a gusset, but you do have the lace pass through there. So a decently lightweight upper. You got some overlays around the back, and it's interesting that they're positioning this as a hybrid racing and training shoe because it is not a very padded upper. But what we do know about TPU foam is that it is a little bit on the heavier side typically. So this might be a little bit of a bottom heavy shoe, even though they've gone with this lightweight upper. And so because we don't know much about this brand other than all the names of their technology, this is going to be a case where it's probably a little bit better for us to just pop this on the scale, get it on foot right away, and just go rip some pace. And then after we do that, we can do the full breakdown in comparison to all the other shoes, because I'm not quite sure if this is going to ride more like a racing shoe or a training shoe. I do have to say, holding it in my hands, it feels a little bit more like a training shoe than a racing shoe, but we're going to have to see once we get out there. All right, so let's do this weigh-in. We got the right shoe here coming in at 282.5 grams. So that is on the heavier side for sure. To give you some context, racing shoes are typically 240 and below. The Vaporfly is about 200 grams. Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 and 4, those are 220 to 240. So this is significantly heavier than those shoes. We'll do a little bit of a comparison after, but I think you might be getting more rubber here, but this TPU foam is just a little bit heavier. So if Skechers wants to play with the big boys, they might need to go toward a PIBA foam in the next generation of this. And they did tell me that they're going to release a whole new lineup of shoes this year, or debut a whole new lineup of shoes at the running event, which will be, Charlie and I will definitely be going to that down in Austin, Texas. So this is one of their current shoes. Maybe they'll be going lighter. Maybe they'll be going with PIBA, but I'm not sure if they're trying to play in the elite racing game anymore. But this looks like it's a solid training shoe. Let's throw the other one on. Hopefully I don't have to fight with the insole thing again. Yes, I will have to. All right, give me a sec. How much do you think this little tag here weighs? Actually, let's see. I'm always curious about stuff like this. All right, this little tag, it does not even register on the scale. Okay. All right, so hold on. Right was 282.5. Left is 286. So, or 285.5. So pretty similar. Now, I do want to grab two shoes before we run to do this little weight comparison to see how they stack up. So I brought out the New Balance SC Trainer V2 and the Adidas Boston 12. I think in terms of stack height, general construction with the rocker, rubber coverage, and geometry approach, these two are probably the best comparison points for the Skechers Go Run Alpha Tempo. So let's see how they come in for weight. So New Balance SC Trainer V2, almost exactly the same weight as that Skechers, coming in at 290. And then Adidas Boston 12, this guy is a little bit lighter at 266. So this would be the lightest one, but if you see the upper on the Boston 12, and this is the reason why a lot of runners don't love this shoe, it is not structured at all. Super lightweight, super flexible. Whereas SC Trainer V2, we have more padding. Skechers is a little bit in the middle. You have a tiny bit of structure around the back, but it is not as built up as the New Balance. So let's just keep that in mind as we hit this run here, because I think these are going to be the two shoes that will probably, I don't know, I could be surprised, but I think these are going to be the two shoes that will probably make the most sense to compare this to in the breakdown. But all right, let's lace this up and just go rip. So as I was cleaning up the box here, they had another one of these information sheets. And one thing I did want to point out is on the Hyperburst Pro on the midsole, and I'm not sure if it said this in the email that I read. Maybe it did. Maybe I just skipped over it. But they called the cushioning of the foam long lasting. And that is a big benefit of this TPU foam. Very durable. I got 700 miles out of a pair of Ultra Boost. I have 350 miles on a pair of Triumph that uses TPU, and it is just going and going. So even though this is a little bit heavier than the SC Trainer V2 and definitely heavier than a Vaporfly or any of those racing shoes, maybe it will be a top contender for durability. And they don't have price on here. I'll have to look up the price on this thing real quick. So price of this guy, I just looked it up, is $185, which is more expensive than either of these shoes. So we will see if the performance out there justifies that price, because that is more expensive than any of these competitor training speed shoes. It would be, if you look at it like a legit racing shoe, something like the Cielo X1, it would be significantly less expensive, but we'll have to see how it rides, man. All right, guys, so plan for this run today is 12 miles. Now, yesterday I got 10. That was a really quality run in the Rocket X2, and wow. Okay, I'll talk about the run in a second, but I can immediately feel on stepping that arch bump. It is a really strange feeling on the left shoe here. It's just right in the middle of the foot. Let me see this. Like right in the center of your foot right here. It feels like there's a tennis ball underneath the shoe. And we'll see how this does when I'm actually running. But that's a little bit of a weird feel on stepping. But other than that, man, this upper is very comfortable. I think this hugs my foot really nicely, and I'm trying not to use the L word. That was a challenge for my friend Brian. But it's a nice snug fit without being too tight. It holds the foot in place really well on the left side here. And then you'll see there's not a ton of space around the back, which is nice. The Boston 12, which also has this lighter weight upper, there is similar material actually. Skechers just executes it a little bit better. I think Adidas could take a page out of Skechers' book for the Boston 13. This upper is a really similar material, but it's just done better here versus the Boston 12 is really floppy. Actually, let me try something real quick. So this is the Skechers insole. Let me try to put the Adidas Audi Zero insole inside, and we'll see, compare. left and right. Is this sacrilege? Can you see that? Yeah, I have the Adizero insole now inside the Skechers, but I want to compare, see if that fixes the weird bump. Yes, it does. The weird bump is completely gone in the right shoe. So if you are interested in this shoe, if the ride is any good after we get in this run and some miles, but if you are interested in the shoe, then that is one way we could fix it. But I'm going to run with the regular Skechers insole inside. And you can see, let's see if we can get a good angle here. Let me actually... That's a good angle here. You guys want to always talk about plate position. What about insole position? What about the concavity, the convexity of the Skechers insole? How about you get on that level, bro? All right, but yeah, convexity of the Skechers insole. Look right here. You can see this shadow. They've designed this insole to have this bump right in the middle, which gives a little bit of that odd feeling. So we'll see how it does out there on the run. I'm guessing once we get moving and grooving, issues like this tend to melt away. That's the same thing with the upper issue on the Boston 12. I have 300 miles on that shoe, and it doesn't bother me at all. Same thing with SC Trainer V2. Some people say they can feel the plate on the heel. Again, I've done 20-mile long runs with that shoe. I think some of these nitpicky issues that we get on step-in, they tend to melt away once we're out there for 30+ minutes. Again, Nova Blast, that's another shoe. Feels a little bit weird in the first 30 minutes, and then those issues melt away. So let's get the other shoe on and actually run. No more goofing off with the insoles. Plan for the run, 12 miles. This is an aerobic run, so one of the building block runs to flex our base fitness, so it should be right in my normal pace range. Maybe I'll speed it up a little bit at the end, again, because these are faster racing / training shoe. I do want to test them with some pace, but I've been running my normal runs a little bit faster this block, so this should be low 7s, maybe high 6s towards the end, which would be about a 3-hour to 3:15 marathon pace, which I think that's pretty much exactly what these shoes would be designed to do. So that is the plan for the run this week. I think we're aiming for about 80 to 90 miles per week, and then next week, hopefully, God willing, we'll be back popping out over 100. So with that, let's get into the run. Hold on, sorry, false alarm. I really do want to do this walk test for you to see how these do underfoot. And they feel, and I know it's dry here, but I can feel this Goodyear rubber, and it might just be because of the way they've done the lugs, but I can feel it gripping the ground a little bit more, and I think that is because the pattern that they have here is a little more aggressive tread than I'm used to on, oh, we gotta take the sticker off, on a racing shoe or one of these high performance training shoes. Oh yeah, and then fit of the upper, a little bit narrower in the heel here, in the forefoot here actually, so that is something to note. Midfoot is decently wide, but forefoot is a snug narrow. And then walking, it seems like it, I don't know, we'll see. It is a comfortable shoe to walk in. The arch fit thing, like I said, is not bothering me, even just doing this little bit of a walk test here. But it's not feeling overly narrow like some other speed-oriented training shoes or racing shoes like the Vaporfly or Asics Metaspeed. But again, with this weight, it shouldn't be a super narrow shoe. All right, let's actually get this run in. All right, guys, we gave it the gas there on the finish. Let's see. Average 7:04 pace, 12 miles, 125. And I told you we're going to be running our miles this cycle a little bit faster. I manifested it, and then I did it. And that's the thing. We were out here talking about manifestation yesterday. And the thing is, you can say you're going to do it, but then you got to have to go put some action towards doing it. So faster miles in the books, 7 flat. And this shoe is a lot more Light Strike Pro than it is Fuel Cell. I was expecting, for some reason, I don't know why, Hyper Burst. I was expecting this to be soft, bouncy, almost like I was holding out hope it would be a Hoka Cielo experience, but it is like a non-broken in Boston 12. It's like what the Boston 12 felt like right out of the box, when it's a little bit stiffer, a little bit firmer, and now you can see, hold on, watch me push this in. yeah, you can see this Light Strike Pro here is very soft now that we've broken it in, but out of the box it was rigid, it was stiff, and that's the same thing I'm getting out of this Skechers here with both the geometry and the foam. The geometry is really curved and more like the SC Trainer V2 here, but the foam is pretty soft. And let me actually, or sorry, the foam is pretty firm. And it's reminding me a lot of one shoe that, I don't know if you guys even know that I own this shoe. This is my emergency shoe. It's my backup shoe. Keep it in the whip just in case I got a dip, just in case I got to run. I don't know. Shout out to Rasheed Rice. No, I'm just kidding. That was an absolutely horrible joke. I'm going to get canceled. I'm going to be the first running shoe YouTuber who gets canceled. But this is my backup shoe that I always keep in the Jeep. I do like having a shoe just in case, I don't know, just in case we go hiking or something and I don't have shoes. But it is the Nike Pegasus Trail 3. And the React in here, let's take a look at this. By the way, that's the miles to go license plate. But it is the React in here. It's not super soft, not super firm, but it has a nice stable feel to it with just a little bit of pop up in the forefoot, and it has this flared out heel out in the back. It's almost the same exact geometry. Yeah, take a look at this. They even have the similar texture on the back here to the React Trail here. So I don't know, for some reason this is giving me big React vibes in the Skechers, and it felt like a good shoe but not a great shoe. And so let's go pop these off and then we can do our full breakdown. Man, it is another beautiful day out here. The blue skies, birds chirping. We got the flowers blooming. Mama's not back home, so we can just party. I think there's this one guy who watches the channel who thinks Charlie's my mom. I don't think that's a compliment to anybody involved. All right, guys, so 12 miles down in the Skechers Go Run Alpha Tempo. That is quite the name, Alpha Tempo. The old name was the Speed Beast, so it's pretty much the same exact name except with different words. But I guess they switched it from speed to tempo because words matter, and I'm guessing with this being a little bit of a heavier shoe, they want to position it more as a long distance training shoe versus a short distance training shoe. And so I think that holds up. This does feel like a good shoe for longer miles, similar to Boston 12 and SC Trainer V2 here. So as I was saying, guys, good shoe here, but not great shoe. And let me break down the few things that could make this a great shoe and what I think is holding it back. So the elements that are good, the geometry in this is super nice. I love how this rocker felt. If you look at this curved bottom here, it is right up there for one of the best geometries in the game with the Hoka Cielo X1, with the New Balance SC Trainer V2, with the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3. They put the perfect curve to it. Look, pretty similar actually to this New Balance here, and they extend the foam off the back here. However, what's holding it back is that it's more about the plate than the polymer. I thought about that on the run. You guys like that? That consonance there? It's more about the plate than the polymer. And what I mean about that is up here in the forefoot, you have this carbon-infused shank or partial plate. And you can see where it starts and stops. Camera down. But it starts right here, right after that weird midfoot arch, and then it stops almost at the tip of the forefoot. Maybe it goes a little more, but you can see how thick it is, and it really does feel like there's a firm piece of metal under your forefoot in a way that's not exactly my favorite. And so if you take a look at, let's do this little bend test here. It is very stiff. So this little plate here reinforces that rocker a ton. So it's getting hoisted by its own petard a little bit. Its strength is its weakness because this platform is so curved. It feels awesome, but then the downside is that you're not getting much flexibility up here in the forefoot, and it's a very firm pushing off point here versus Boston 12. Look how flexible this forefoot is. After 300 miles, the foam is broken in a ton, and we got the rods instead of this firmer plate. So that's the one thing with the foam also feeling like it's a little bit of a firmer compound, and then you have that firm plate up in the forefoot. It's a little bit of too much of a good thing. I think if they softened up the foam a little bit in the next generation of the shoe, or made this a plastic plate, maybe that would be a little bit more suitable for most runners out there. Now, the other thing about how they've done this partial plate is that the heel of the shoe is actually a little softer than the forefoot, which means it's a decently fun ride for landing in the heel. You get a nice little bit of impact absorption and then some roll through, similar to the Gel Nimbus. Now, this is a much faster shoe, much firmer, not as squishy, but same thing with that shoe. They have the gel unit in the heel and then no gel unit in the forefoot, just the foam. That's like this with the softer feel in the heel and the firmer feel up in the forefoot. So that's one thing I think they could do in the next gen, maybe soften up the foam or change the plate a little bit. Heading down to the bottom of the shoe, I would not change a thing about this rubber if you're positioning this as a training shoe. This was one of the best outsole coverages I've seen on a shoe recently, and that's also why I pulled out our emergency shoe here, because you can see it almost looks like a trail outsole with this amount of grip that you get. So I think this shoe is probably going to be pretty good across a variety of terrain and weather events. I don't know why I said it like that, but if it rains, I think this is going to hold up pretty well. We'll have to do a wet weather test with, probably not today because it's super dry and I don't feel like hosing down the driveway, but next time we pop out one of those Skechers shoes, we'll do a wet weather test with this and the Continental. We maybe we'll even pull out a Vibram shoe for you guys. But if you're going to leave this as a training shoe, and I know they say racing shoe in the copy, but I don't think they believe that. If you're going to leave this as a training shoe, leave the rubber. If you're going to move this to be a racing shoe, I would want to significantly lighten up the rubber. And let me go grab a racing shoe actually so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so this is the New Balance SC Elite V4. Firmer, a little bit firmer PIBA foam, and then this full coverage rubber outsole. And you can see here, you still have the texture in here, but it's a little bit more strategically placed. Just a thinner layer overall of this rubber versus what we're seeing in the Alpha Tempo here. And then same thing on the back. They stop the rubber a little bit closer to the back versus extending it all the way up in the midfoot. And then they also have this cutout here because of the plate. So I don't think Skechers can do that because they don't have the plate going back. It would probably be a little bit too unstable. But that's something they could also do, is shave a little bit of this foam out. Maybe they would have to do it somewhere closer up, but shave a little bit of the foam up and lighten up the outsole a touch if they wanted to make this a racing shoe. And then third thing, upper. The fit of this was fantastic, dialed in. My foot was not gonna budge. I love what they did around the back here with just adding a little bit of reinforcement. I think, again, this is what Adidas should do. Maybe I'll email this video to Adidas and say, copy this upper for the Boston 13. If they put this upper on the Boston 13, it would be one of the best overall shoes out there. I don't think anybody would be able to complain, especially if they lightened up the foam just a little bit, because I know some people don't like the feeling of this Light Strike 2.0. But upper is great. However, toe box up here in the front, man, my Piggly Wigglies were getting smushed. It is not a wide fit at all, even compared to the New Balance SC Trainer V2 here. You get a lot more room in the SC Trainer V2. You get a lot more room in the Adidas Boston 12. Width-wise, it is just a tight fit. And it's weird because the rest of the shoe and the rest of the upper is pretty flexible. But then when you get to the forefoot here and the toe box, it's structured and rigid. So I don't know why they did that or what's going on here. But if they made the toe box a little bit more flexible and just a touch wider in the next generation, it would fit a lot better. Right now, it's super close to what that Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 fit like, which is very tight, not forgiving whatsoever. And so let's talk about the feel of the shoe across the run, across the different paces that we are putting down today. And let me go grab my phone for that so we can check out the splits. All right, guys, I got the phone and I got the Hobby Jugger hat. We're going to do a restock of these soon. You guys have been asking, so don't worry about that. But today, oh, wow, that loaded up quickly. That was the least buggy issue I've ever had. All right, so these are our splits today. So low warm-up, 730, 720, and then we were cruising around a 7 flat pace from mile 3 on to mile 9 because we manifested it. We said we were going to be running at a little bit faster aerobic miles, and then little progression at the end, not too much, getting down to 650 and dropped to 630 on the last one, but that is a very downhill assisted miles. So most of this right around my faster aerobic range, 7 flat, right around that 3-hour marathon pace. And the shoe felt good. Like I said, it felt good for most of that. And in terms of the range of it, I do think it's going to be better for those faster miles because of the firmer feel. I did not love it for those warm-up paces. I would have much rather had SC Trainer V2 on my foot for those warm-up paces, and I think we might need to bring this out for another run soon, maybe a double day or a recovery day, just get some miles in it to refresh our memory on how this feels, because I don't like always comparing and recommending shoes without having run in them recently. But this guy definitely better for the faster end of the miles, and I think towards the end of that run when I was dropping 650, 630, that sub-3 marathon pace, that's where it felt best. And so you guys know when I do these videos, I like to find the one thing that the shoe is best at, and I think this guy is going to be similar to the Boston 12. If you need a durable shoe or a good wet weather shoe that can handle some longer miles with speed like we did today, about 90 minutes, and you want to put some pace down into the shoe, that's where I enjoyed this the most. My legs do feel protected and fresh. Didn't feel like I was slamming into the ground. I didn't feel like my knees were aching or I was getting shin splints or I was just getting a ton of ground feel like I might with a lower stack shoe. So it is protective. The one thing though is $185. Ouch, is all I can say. Ouch. I don't think anybody's going to be buying that on this channel. And so if Skechers were to take my feedback for the next generation of this shoe, if they want to be competitive in the hobby jogger market segment here, this needs to be 160 max or lower. I think if they price it at 155, and don't tell me you can't do that, because Adidas Boston 12 here is 160. So if they undercut the Boston 12, position this as a training shoe designed to be durable with a little bit of a firmer feel, maybe even go for that bigger runner market segment. It does have a ton of support. It reminds me a little bit of the Tier Speedworks and Tier Valkyrie Elite with this beautiful rocker and firmer forefoot feel. So I think if they went in that direction, maybe they revised the design language a little bit to be toned down, maybe go for some more neutral colors, some tans, some grays, take a page out of that Tier book, keep this awesome fitting upper, but camera down, but widen out the toe box. That would be a great long run shoe. And so if they do want to be Alpha Tempo, if they do want to be king of endurance speed shoes, that's what I would do. You don't need to add a ton more stack. You don't need to do anything crazy. Maybe you can soften up the foam a little bit. Maybe I'd go for the plastic plate, but it has all the bones to be a great shoe here. Right now, it's just missing the mark a little bit for me on each category to be something that I would recommend over any of the other shoes. So good, not great. I would still take the Boston 12 as a long distance shoe for speed, and I would still take the SC Trainer V2 as more of that relaxed cushion shoe. Skechers is somewhere in between those with a little bit of that softer heel here with the firmer forefoot, but is not, at least on the first run today, is not really doing better than either of these at any one thing. And so the one thing that I would test that we didn't do today is how does this shoe do at threshold pace and faster, because that could be an area where it competes with the Boston 12. But with the performance today and with the forefoot feel of how rigid it is, it wasn't that I was getting a ton of pop and benefit from the foam. And I like having more of that bounce from the foam itself for threshold and faster running. It's not necessarily about having a firm plate in there. So I'm guessing this is going to feel like it maxes out, or it feels best around that marathon pace zone, which is why they're calling it the Tempo. But we shall see. So with that, guys, that is the first run and overview of the Skechers Alpha Tempo. I love that we got a new brand in the house. Appreciate you guys watching, and as always, I'll be back tomorrow with another video.